Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. I hope you've been enjoying this series on Eudes Picard. I have been enjoying it as I've been doing it, and I'm learning it in real time. I'm not reading ahead or anything. As I'm doing it, I'm presenting it to you. And I'm so glad that I started this. It's just been a fun rabbit hole. So I'm doing it in the order of how it's described, how Picard arranges his book, with one exception. I'm going to do the court cards separately. So right now I'm just focusing on the pips, or as he calls it, the minor arcana, ace to 10 of each suit, and then I will collectively do the court cards. It's the only order that I'm doing differently than what he has in the book. Now, a valuable tool that I think every one of us should have who has an interest in Eudes Picard is this particular book, which was written by him. However, the translation here is by Bernardo, and it's called The Synthetic and Practical Manual of the Tarot by Eudes Picard. And as I've mentioned in every one of these videos, it's concise, you know? There's not a lot of wasted verbiage. Now, he doesn't go into, Eudes Picard does not go into what you need to know about the Kabbalah. He just tells you what the letters are. You have to have an understanding, he says, of what the Kabbalah is, you know, and how it relates. And he doesn't get into astrology other than to tell you the astrological correspondence of each card. But that is something that I think he believes, or is understood, that you would bring to the table already understanding. There aren't, as far as I can tell, any symbols that knock you over the head. In fact, the only symbols I've seen are astrological, and they're subtle, you know. So it's not a kind of tarot deck that hits you over the head with symbols, and it is not at all intimidating. Okay, so today, this is, I think, part 5. And we're focused, zeroing in on the pentacles, as he calls them in the book, but on the cards themselves, they're called deniers. So he calls them pentacles in the book, but the cards themselves are identified as deniers. So I'm probably going to slip between the two words. Alrighty, so looking at the ace, he describes a pentacle as a circular sort of device. He doesn't mention the astrological symbols that border the interior. He doesn't mention that. He indicates that this pentacle is still rooted to the earth, which he suggests is suggesting that matter is limited by the physical world, unable to free itself. He gives the meaning of this card as money in its broadest sense, or the value of money, or the value of matter. So, consistently, I'm not seeing that aces are representing the beginning of something, as we think of number one, as I think of number one, as the beginning of something, as the spark of something. It's more, he doesn't say that for any of the aces that I can tell. It's just the concept of money, or money in its broadest sense, and as being related to earth and being something that's rooted of the earth. So it could be something that's not necessarily a good thing. You have to be careful with it. For the two, we have two pentacles, which he calls them, which looks like coins or discs to me, but at any rate, one is above the earth and contains the sun, and the other one is below. The one that contains the sun seems to be supported by creatures of the air. So we see two eagles like hanging a medallion of the sun. One coin is held into the ground by its roots. So half is flourishing, as we saw before, with the sun above, and roots are what being held below, right? We've seen that theme a few times with his cards. And it's suggesting antagonism of matter, the principle of absorption by gold and emancipation by gold. So I take that to mean that you could be held back by material world, or you can soar by, as a result of the material world. So if you're materialistic, you're held back. You might have material gain, but you're held back. But you could use money for good. You could use money for charity. You could use money for education, or you can use money to do well in the world, or you could just use money to keep you attached to the material, the things that don't really matter. You could be a slave to. I think that's what that means. The meaning he gives it is commercial contract, business partnership. And as I said, he doesn't discuss this, but my take on it is that my understanding of it is what I think he means. So it's not what's written in the book, but is that wealth can bring good or bad. Wealth could be used for good or bad. You're free to do, you could do the finer things. You're free to spend money on the finer things that could do good in the world, or you could be held back by the material aspects of money. Remember, he sees coins, or the deniers, or the pentacles, as money. So here we have 3 pentacles. 2 are underground, the 3rd is on top, and the 3 of them form a triangle. Again, we have the theme of like earth, roots, larvae, right? We see that. And on the 3 coins, we have earth signs of the zodiac. I think what he's meaning here is that, we have the ability to turn a profit, or that it's based on the association of this card is based on something that could turn a profit. So if the question has to do with, will something be fruitful, or will something, be a good idea or a good investment, the suggestion, I think, is that it is intended to turn a profit, because it is the number of growth and fecundity. If we think of the Empress, right, for the number 3 and growth and that kind of thing. Taurus and Capricorn are the coins beneath, and I think he says that they imply struggle and effort, while the Virgo coin above suggests the benefit of the effort. So ultimately, whatever you're endeavoring in will be worth the trouble, will be worth the effort. And the meaning he gives this card is the beginning of a business partnership. Now remember, you would do yourself a great service to get this book. And I neglected to say, did I say it was translated by Daniel Bernardo? I want to make sure I do mention that. Make sure I get it right. Daniel Bernardo, yes. I mean, I'm giving my understanding of what I've read, and I've taken notes, right? But you'll do yourself a disservice if you just leave it at that. You most certainly should get the book. But I'm hoping that these videos that I've been doing spark your interest and make you want to pursue it. Here we have 4 pentacles surrounded by roots, with a symbol of the earth, the globe that we see so frequently on the emperor and sometimes on the Pope's cards. So the symbol of the earth, or the globe. Now, he goes on to describe this as pentacles or coins, surrounded by by roots that are growing. And then he goes on to say he sees it as birth of children and birth of animals, which is interesting. And he doesn't articulate this, what I'm about to say, but this is how I'll remember what it means. If you notice this shape in the background, which can be reminiscent of a birth canal, right? And if you think of coins as a passive suit, which I think in the beginning he discusses that coins and cups, because they're round, are passive. So you could associate, when you see that shape, with the birth of something. And then he goes on to say that it could represent the birth of a girl. So if you think of the suit as a passive suit and you see that, now this is not written, but this is how I'm trying to understand and make sense of why he's saying could be the birth of a girl. But aside from the birth of the girl, he describes it as pentacles surrounded by roots with a symbol of the earth in the center. He does say birth of children and animals, specifically girls. And he does suggest a fortune achieved. He doesn't comment on this shape, as I mentioned, but the background shape is the clue to me that it could be representing birth. But he doesn't articulate that or mention that at all. It's just my 2 cents. Okay, now here is the card that when I saw it when I was doing a reading several videos ago, I wasn't sure what it meant, but I kind of felt like it didn't mean something good, right? I felt uneasy about it, and I was very eager to look this card up. Here we have 5 pentacles, which surround a pentagram. So we have these 5 coins surrounding a pentagram, and the pentagram appears to have or is engraved by ants. And he says that this represents reason subduing fortune, the spirit of economy or greed. So he identifies this as greed, or the spirit of economy, meaning like not spending or not sharing your wealth, which is very interesting. He doesn't really say what this bulbous thing is. He just says that it's 5 pentacles surrounding a pentagram, which are entwined with growth of branches. But he doesn't say what this bulbous thing is. Okay, remember now the 6, that he does seem to connect 6s to the Lover card. Remember, the good and the bad, right? The choice between good and evil. So we have 2 triangles of coins, one above the ground and one below. And the upper coins are engraved faith, hope, and charity. Very interesting. We see faith, hope, and charity on the top, and below are Capricorn heads. So there's a struggle between good and bad, right? Like we have in the number 6 card of the Lover card. Good and evil come under conflict for the good or bad use of a fortune, or the good or bad use of money. The application of money could be for good or bad. It could mean generosity or greed, the good or bad use of money. So we have, my 2 cents is that Capricorn is of the earth, right, is the materialistic thing. And the faith, hope, and charity are aspirations or virtues, right? So we have the struggle between virtuous and materialistic. Okay, again with number 7, we have the now familiar arrangement of 4 below and 3 above. 4 buried in a square in the center is, again, the symbol of the globe or the earth. Above the ground, we have 3 arranged in a triangular pattern. A tree with roots grows above the earth. This card represents the moral power of money and its good use. And for the meaning, he says benevolence. So if you think of 7 as moving forward, which I do, I recall the Chariot, this card does have a positive look to it. There's nothing about this card that doesn't look positive. It looks positive. So it could, since it is the card of money, the suit of money, rather. You could be seeing it as the good use of money, right? The flourishing, money being put to good use. Here we have 8 pentacles, as he calls them, surrounding the rays of a star. So we have the rays of a star, and we have the pentacles, the coins interspersed throughout them. Again, we have 4 in the earth and 4 above the earth. He recalls, he doesn't mention it, but I'm mentioning it. He does recall the spirit of the Justice card, the 8 of stability, right? Evokes a quality of distribution, fair distribution of wealth. Interestingly, it also corresponds to the age of reason for girls. That's what he says. So he sees this card representing the age of reason for girls. It could be because he sees Deniers as a passive suit, which he probably equates with femininity. And then 8 being, maybe it's a thing, the age of reason for girls maybe is 8. And then the meaning he gives it is inheritance or a young girl. So it can mean inheritance or a young girl. So here we have 9 pentacles. We have, as typical fashion, 4 below and 5 above in the form of a pentagram. The 4 in the underground seem to be supporting the supporting the pentagram, and each point of the pentagram has a pentacle. And the roots that grow below are healthy, as are the plants that grow above. They're both healthy. So it's healthy above and below. A solid investment of money. He says that it means acquisition of land, possibly, or the exploitation of mines. Now, see, it looks like a positive card because everything about it looks like it's growth and prospering. But he does indicate that it could be stripping the land. That's the impression I got from what he mentioned. He also, as a side note, suggests that this card could represent grandmother. It is one of the final cards. It's not 10, but it's 9. So it's aged. And if we're recognizing women or the feminine, he's seeing it as a grandmother. So when this card were to pop up regarding an investment, it seems like it's a solid investment, a good idea. And it could also mean an acquisition of land. But it could also mean an exploitation of a mine. So it's contradictory a little bit. And the last card in the suit is the 10 of coins, or 10 of pentacles, as he calls it in the book, in a circular arrangement. Half above, half below, as we're prone to see. Vegetation is flourishing again, abundant gains and losses. It is the sign of fortune in both good and unstable circumstances. Now, he doesn't mention this in the book, but to me, this recalls to mind the Wheel of Fortune, right? Which is also number 10, which also has to do with, what happened to the Wheel of Fortune? Oh, I lost the Wheel of Fortune. Hold on. Right? So the description that he gives for the meaning of this card reminds me of the meaning of the Wheel of Fortune, right? It is a sign of fortune in both good and unstable circumstances. The meaning he gives it seems to be evoking the Wheel of Fortune, also a 10. Luck as well as losses in gambling. So it could go either way. And I'm wondering if, he's thinking also of a roulette wheel, because he mentions gambling. So I wonder if it means, he's making it internally in his own mind if he's thinking of a roulette wheel. It doesn't say anything like that in the book. It's just my 2 cents. He could also suggest a discovery of treasures. And so I'm wondering if that could be like something like, when you find $10 in a pocket, or you go use an old handbag you haven't used in year and a half and you find a $20 bill or something like that. So, you see this, could evoke the thought that you might find some money. That's a cool interpretation. But as the Wheel of Fortune suggests, the ebb and flow of fortune, good or bad, I think he's suggesting that with this card as well. So I'm going to call it a day with this suit. And the next one will be the Suit of Cups. We have two more suits. We have the Suit of Cups and we have the Suit of Swords. And then we'll have to explore the court cards. And then there's an interpretation section. Oh, I mentioned in the previous video that I was hoping that the interpretation section in the very, very back would give us an idea about how he felt about each of the suits or whatever. He doesn't. The interpretation section at the back is talking about actually interpreting the cards and what kind of faculties you must possess to be a proficient reader, that kind of thing. But it's only 4 pages. So that'll be a brief one. Okay, friends, until next time, peace, stay well, be brave, and be kind. Oh, and give me a thumbs up if you've been enjoying this series, really. If you've been enjoying this, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. I know some of you watch on TV or that you watch it, not on your phone, and it's hard to do those things. But if you could sacrifice and find a device that you can give me a thumbs up or subscribe, that would really be great. Because I figure if you're watching this, then you find value in what I'm giving you. And so it would be fair to give it a thumbs up or a subscription if you're able to do that. Okay? I think so. I think that's only a fair thing to ask. Until next time, all those things. Bye.